So welcome to this latest video 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over GCSE Maths higher topic of probability and two-way tables by going through some past exam questions. Now as always I'll include a copy of the question paper in the description below for you to download and have an attempt at, which I strongly recommend you do before watching through this video so you can see how much of the topic you understand and how much you don't. Now before we get started working through some exam questions related to two-way tables, it's really important that we have a look at the key aspects of this. Now it's really important that you read the information really clearly and fully understand what it is that you're given. Now typically with two-way tables it's going to incorporate fractions, percentage of amounts, sharing ratios and proportion. And then once you've completed your two-way table, it can then easily follow into a probability or a proportion question. But the most important aspect of this is making sure that you read the question, highlighting key information, and you definitely do understand what information has been given. Now these questions are often worth 3 to 4 marks depending on how many numbers there are to find, so please make sure that you are reading the information carefully and do not rush filling in the numbers by just simply seeing a number and filling it into the table. So let's get started on these questions. Now again, a reminder that a copy of these questions are available for you to download in the description below. So let's have a look at question 1. So it says, here is some information about animals in a pet shop. And it says a third of the hamsters are female, 40% of the lizards are male, and there are 10 more males than females altogether. Complete the two-way table. So first things first, let's have a look at this. Now typically with regards to these questions, more often than not, you tend to fill it in the same order as the information's been given. But obviously that's not going to be always the case, but generally you do find that. So let's have a look at working out the third of the hamsters are female. Well, we know that the total number of hamsters is 36. So then from this, what we've got to do is just work out a third of 36. Now a third of 36 is divided by 3 times by 1. So that's going to give me an answer of 12. So that means if this answer here is 12, then this top answer is going to be 24. Now one thing you do want to do is be able to fill in the numbers as you're going along. So don't just simply go through the information and fill in the information that's given. As you're going along, just fill it in all the other empty boxes. For the next one, it says that 40% of the lizards are male. So I want to work out 40% of, and the number of lizards is 30. So if 10% is 3, 40% is also going to be 12, and so 40% is going to be 12, yeah. And so if the number of male lizards is 12, the total number is 30, so that means that there must be 18 female lizards. Then on the last bit of information that's been given, we know that there are 10 more males than females. So if there were X number of females, then the number of males would be X plus 10. Now using this bit of information here, that I know that X plus 10 plus X equals 80, which is 2X plus 10 equals 80, so 2X equals 70. Let me just write that again. And so therefore X equals 35. So that if X equals 35, this is going to be 35 and this is going to be 45. So let me just rub those two things out. And so we know that this is going to be 45 and this is going to be 35. So then all that's left for me to do is then work out the number of cats. So the number of male cats is going to be 45 minus 24 minus 12, which gives me an answer of 9. And then 14 take away 9 is going to give me 5. So there is my completed two-way table for part A. Then for 1B, it says 36 of the animals are hamsters. What percentage of the animals are hamsters? So then all we need to do is just convert this into a percentage. So it's going to be 36 over 80 multiplied by 100. Now 36 divided by 80, well, I can divide both numbers by 2, so that becomes 18 over 40. Then divide both numbers by 4, in which then it becomes 4.5 over 10, which then becomes 45 over 100. so it's going to be 45%. Then moving on to question 2, it says that 120 adults were asked if they had any social media accounts. 26 adults did not have a social media account. 46 adults were aged between 18 and 34. 31 adults were aged between 35 and 54. 27 adults were aged 35 to 54 had a social media account. And 15 adults aged 55 and over did not have a social media account. And the question is asking us to complete the table. Well, let's first of all start by completing the information that we've been given in generally the order that's been stated. So we know that there are 120 adults altogether, so that means that the grand total is going to be 120. Now in terms of, it says 26 adults did not have a social media account, so that means that this number here must be 26, and therefore I can then fill out the total that said yes. So that's going to be 120 minus 26, which is 94. So then that's that one done. So then moving on to the second bit of information, it says 46 adults were aged between 18 and 34. So 18 to 34, so this number here is going to be 46. And then 31 adults were aged between 35 and 54. So this number here is going to be 31. So then I can easily work out what the number of adults who were 55 and over. So that's going to be 120 minus 46 minus 31, which gives me an answer of 43. And then let me just put a line through there. And then 27 adults aged 35 to 54 had a social media account. So that there is going to be 27. So that means that this number here is going to be 4, because 27 plus 4 equals 31. Then the last bit I'm looking at is 15 adults aged 55 and over did not have a social media account. So that there is going to be 15. So then from this I can then work out the missing. It doesn't really matter, you don't have to do it in the order which I'm doing it as. So here for this one, if I do 43 take away 15, I get an answer of 28. And then I can then work out these two, which is going to be 39 from doing 94, take away 27, take away 28. And then the last one, which is going to be 26, take away 4, take away 15, which gives me an answer of 7. Then for 2b, it says Gerald says that adults aged 18 to 34 have the highest percentage of people with a social media account. Is Gerald correct? So in order for us to prove whether Gerald is correct, what we need to do is we need to work out the percentage of the number of adults who said yes over the total number of adults in each of those groups. So 18 to 34, well, that's going to be 39 over 46 multiplied by 100, and that comes up to a percentage of 84.8%. Then for 35 to 54, if I do the same, so this time I do 27 divided by 31, multiply that by 100, and I get 87.1%. And then the last one, which is 28 over 43, which is for 55 plus, that's going to be 28 over 43 multiplied by 100, and that comes up to a percentage of 65.1%. So is the 35 to 54 the highest percentage? Is the 18 to 34 the highest percentage? So therefore the answer is no. 35 to 54 has a higher percentage. Moving on to question 3, it says 120 students are currently in history or geography and have maths or science next lesson. There are 12 more students in history than geography. The ratio of maths to science is in the ratio of 2 to 3, and from the students in geography, half as many have maths as have science. And the question is asking us to complete the table. So let's have a look at this information. So we know that there are 120 students altogether, and we know that there are 12 more students in history than there are in geography. So if geography was X, then history is going to be X plus 12. So then from this, using this bit of information here, I can then work out that 2x plus 12 equals 120. So 2x equals 108. So x equals 54. And let me just change that to 54. So then this number here is going to be 54. And 54 plus 2 is going to be 66. Then moving on to the next bit of information, it tells us that the ratio of maths to science is 2 to 3. Well, if the total is 120 and we want to separate this in the ratio of 2 to 3 maths to science, so 120 divided by 5, which gives me an answer of 24, and then 24 times 2 and 24 times 3, so that's going to give me 48, and it's going to give me 72. So that's 48 and that is 72. So then looking at the next statement, it says from the students in geography, half as many have maths as science. So looking at the geography, in which we have 54 students, that half of them will have maths and science will have double. So if this is going to be x, then this is going to be 2x. So then, or let me change that to a ratio, so that's going to be 1 to 2. So therefore 54 divided by 3, which gives me an answer of 18. So it's going to be 18 times 1, which is 18, and 18 times 2, which is 36. So this is going to be 18 and this is going to be 36. Then from that I can then work out the history by taking it away from the total from math science. So this is going to be 30 and this number here is going to be 36. It then says for 3b that a student is chosen at random, work out probability that student is currently in history and has maths next. So the number of students who are in history that have maths next is 30. So it's going to be 30 out of 120, which is 3 over 12, which is a quarter. So any of those fractions would be absolutely fine. Then moving on to question 4, it says that the table shows information about 250 employees that how they travel to work. What fraction of females employees cycle to work? So for this, our total is female, which is 122. And out of those 122, how many of these travel by cycle? And that's going to be 28, in which then I can write my answer in its simplest form by dividing by 2. So it's 14 over 61. Then for 4b, it says one of the male employees is chosen at random. What's the probability that they travel to work by car? So here we're looking at the male population, which is 128. And out of those 128, how many of them travel by car? That's going to be 26. And it's only worth 1 mark, so you can leave my answer as that, or I can simplify it, which is 13 over 64. Then moving on to our last question, it says there in a box there are some stamps. 60 are standard and the rest are large. Some of the first class stamps are and the rest of the second class stamps. The number of large stamps is 4/3 of the number of standard stamps. The number of second class stamps is 300% of the number of first class stamps. There are 14 large first class stamps. How many standard second class stamps are there? Use your two-way table to help. So what you need to do is complete this table. So let's have a look at what information has been given. Well, I know that this has already been written in the table, which is 60, and I know that this has also been stated in the table. So looking at the next bit of information, now we know that there are some stamps in both first class and second class. So looking at this first stamp, it says the number of large stamps is 4/3 the number of standard stamps. So for this, what we need to do is take the number of standard stamps, which is what 60. Oh, don't know why I've crossed that off. Let me just do that again. So we know is 60. So then what we need to then do is basically 60 divided by 3 to make what 1/3 is, and then we multiply that by 4 to give us 80. And there we go. So then we know that from this we can then work out how many second class large stamps there's going to be, which is going to be 66. Now it also tells us that the number of second class stamps is 300% of the number of the first class stamps. So if the number of first class stamps is going to be X, then the number of second class stamps is going to be 3X. Now one thing that I can also do is work out what the total is going to be. So we just write total and total here by adding up these two numbers here, which is 140. So that means that 4x equals 140, which therefore means that x equals 35. So then 1x is going to be 35 and 3x's are going to be 105. Then from this I can then work out what my missing two numbers are. So this is going to be 21 and this is going to be 39. And once I've completed my table, all I then need to do is go back to answer the question that's been asked, and that question is how many standard second class stamps are there? So how many standard second class stamps? Well, that's going to be 39. So all I need to do here is just write the answer of 39.